Hey folks, we're back again. Thank you for watching. And we have the lovely Bonita K back from her
Hello.
vacation. And we are having,
Coffee in the Morn with Norm.
and today's song that we'll be talking about from my first album will be Junior Cadillac. And here it is.
Here come Junior Cadillac. Look fine, got his hair slicked back. Going dancing with her favorite ride. Hey, hey, gonna do it up. Low rider, low rider. Gonna steal your heart away. Gone cruising down Boulevard. Eyes people looking hard. Looking for a chick with fancy taste. Hey, so he can do it up. Low rider, gonna steal your heart away. Low rider, gonna steal your heart. Going dancing at the Union Hall. Get ready, gonna have a ball. Got a pint of alcohol. Hey, gonna do it up. Low rider, gonna steal your heart away. Low rider, gonna steal your heart.
Okay, so there it was Junior Cadillac, my first song on my first album for Warner Brothers with horns. I was enamored by horns back then. Horns and bands at the time, there was a few bands in San Francisco, and of course the band with the biggest hit was Blood, Sweat, and Tears. Then Chicago started, and here we had
Yes.
Cold Blood.
Cold Blood,
And
yeah.
what was
Horns.
the other one? The other horn band,
Tower of Power.
Tower of Power.
That's right.
And I wanted to do something like that because I thought it was so cool. So talking about the cool, and I was a songwriter, and I always had things in my head. I just, push them in the back of my head, file them away. And one was about cruising because cruising back then still was happening. It
Mm-hmm.
was happening a few years before, of course, and they made movies about it. And some of
American
it
Graffiti. Yes.
was filmed up here in Petaluma, and that was your favorite movie at the time,
American Graffiti.
American Graffiti. And we were talking before. We're having, we're having a hard time remembering who was in the movie,
Mm.
and quite a few people started their career in that movie, and some of it was filmed right up here in
Mm-hmm.
Petaluma, not
Yes.
far from here,
And
and they
San Rafael
in San Rafael, and I think Modesto, and
and Hollywood.
well, sure, and it was a great movie, still is, but we were having such a hard time remembering uh, who starred in it. And I've already forgotten already. It's been a forgetful morning. Do you remember
Remember
who was the star?
Harrison Ford?
Harrison Ford.
Yes.
And I bought
Richard
and
Dreyfuss.
Richard Dreyfuss.
Suzanne Summers was in there, and of course, um, uh,
Others.
yeah, Ron
Others.
Howard. Ron Howard was
Right.
in it too.
Well, if you ever need to remember who was in a movie, saying and others is the way to get out of it. But oddly enough, one of our friends who supplied the convertible through one of his friends for us to be in the Petaluma Butter and Eggs Day Parade, also owns the original car that Suzanne Summers was in. And one of the interesting
We'll have to take a picture
things,
of that one.
yeah, we'll do that. We'll have it for you next week. One of the interesting things is there's a large circle around us that we just continue to meet people, and they sort of fit on the rim of this circle.
Mhm.
And things come up. We show up in a certain place, and it just keeps filling up with other people
Yes.
that are all connected. And I guess that's why they call it 6 degrees from Kevin Bacon. Is that what they call that one? But this is 120 degrees from the lovely Bonita Kay and Crazy Norman. So here comes Junior Cadillac.
Yeah, with his hair slicked back,
Hair slicked back.
and of course he's looking fine.
Looking fine, and I was looking fine one day when we went to Universal City. We were going on the rides, and we went on Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Oh, my favorite ride.
And you loved that
Oh,
ride.
I was in hysterics. I was laughing so hard. Yes, it was quite fun.
Well, I liked it myself. It wasn't as bad as the Raiders of the Lost Ark ride.
Yes.
No, that was the Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yes.
I'm thinking of the other ride.
Guardians of the Galaxy?
That.
Yes.
We'll talk about that another time, but boy, that was a killer bad one. So they might have changed the name on it again in Disneyland. Watch out for it.
Well, you know what I liked about this song is going dancing at the Union Hall.
Right.
Yes, and getting ready, gonna have a ball, got a pint of alcohol. I love those lyrics.
Right. So young men belonged to a union. They were learning a trade, and they had a big building, and they did have dances there. As another place for dances up here too was at the Grange.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
And there were a few places. There weren't big clubs back then, but there were places where dances were put on.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of them, they were just record hops, as they called them.
Yes.
And they played records.
So you're talking about the 50s.
Right.
Yes.
And this was
68 when you wrote this song, 1968?
Probably 67, 68.
Mm-hmm.
And but I didn't put a year into it. It's then and about. Then and about. but hair slicked back. Oh yeah, 'cause you had to look good when you cruised. There's a lot
And
of
we're
people.
talking about Brill cream and pomade, right?
Oh
That's what
yeah,
they use.
yeah. And but I remember it coming in the early to mid 50s with Bill Haley and the Comets, and then
Yes.
many after that.
Yeah.
Uh,
And the ducktail in the back.
and the Ducktail in the Back, which was banned by my mom.
Mhm.
She let me slick my hair back, but without the ducktail. She said, "I don't want you to be one of them," and I think that was her favorite phrase. I don't want you to be one of them, or else, which meant you'll be grounded. So, not wanting to be grounded, I didn't have a ducktail very long. But here we go with the lowriders, and you found out where the lowrider term came from.
Yes, yes. It had to do with the 1967, 68,
Was it
the Watts riots.
65 maybe?
It, they
Had to
got the
do
lowriders from the kids, unruly kids.
right at
Yeah, that was
there was
their
the
name.
Watts riots back then,
Yes,
and
in
I
LA.
didn't do that. But
That's where the term came from.
all right, so everyone could go look it up, see if we got it correct.
Hmm.
And so the next verse, oh, so the next verse, of course, is gonna do it up, lowrider. And that's when we have the girls come in, as you could hear when we just played it.
Yes.
And who were the girls, Bonita says?
So Dan Hicks and his Hot Licks.
Right, so we got the Hot Licks from Dan Hicks, who was friends of ours in the San Francisco area. And the Hot Licks were Marianne Price and Naomi Ruth Eisenberg.
Yes,
And we thought that they would sound good on this song.
which
Of
they
course,
do.
yeah. We didn't think that the Stovall sisters were right for it. And so we got them. We knew them and seen them and talked to them. We were friends. And sounds pretty good. And their line is gonna steal your heart away. Lowrider gonna
Steal your heart.
And so you got that there. That was the first chorus. And then we go cruising down the boulevard.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody did cruise down the boulevard.
Yes, they
Or-
did.
Or you said which street?
4th Street,
4th Street. And
Yes.
there was 4th Street and
Santa Rosa, and
Right.
San Rafael. That's in our area here.
Right.
Yes.
And of course, the boulevard was Petaluma Boulevard.
Petaluma Boulevard.
Right.
Yes.
I lived in Petaluma starting in early '69.
Yes.
But
But that was after you wrote the song.
that was after.
Yeah, you wrote the song in Hollywood. Is that correct?
Right. And Hollywood was a boulevard.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lots of boulevards.
Yes, but that was the cruising boulevard. Hollywood.
I think it was more Sunset.
Oh, okay.
But that was also a boulevard.
Yes.
Yeah. I think at that time you cruise on boulevards, not main streets.
4th
I'm
Street.
wrong, probably, but how many places. Well, I've been to 46 states. What do you do, for entertainment? I've been to 46 states, and someone could say, I've cruised every boulevard in 46 states. In major cities, and who cares? Anyway, we're cruising down the boulevard, eyes peeping, looking hard. Well,
Looking hard for what?
Well, if you were there,
For a chick with fancy taste.
Right, well, that basically describes you.
Oh boy, thanks.
Yeah. Well,
Maybe in those days, huh?
well, we all looked great in those days. We still look great, just older. And anyway, so the chorus comes in again, lowrider gonna steal your heart. And then we come in with the horns. And then we got
My favorite part.
yeah, and I was
And
playing the
then
horn.
it's on this album,
It's on
the white. I
first-
call it the White Album.
We call it the White Album.
Yes, and it's the first side, and the first song.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we got horn players in San Francisco where we were recording, and they were session horn players.
Mhm.
And we sat down, and I had a lot of it, a lot of the parts written, and we went through and made a little adjustments, and that was what we came up with. And this song actually, we'll go to the last verse. Going dancing at the Union Hall.
Yeah. Like I said, those are my favorite lyrics. Yes, of
I
the
don't
song.
think anybody had ever used
Paul Ball and alcohol.
They're getting ready, going to have a ball. Of course.
Uh,
Got a pint of
well,
alcohol.
and in those days, that meant a
Well,
good time.
right, and you had to sneak in the booze.
Yes,
You,
with your
you,
pint.
you put the half pint. No.
Oh, it was a half
Oh,
pint?
half pint, yeah.
Yeah.
Pint wouldn't fit.
But well, I think you put it in your jacket or
Well,
something. Yeah.
yeah, and you
Strapped it to the inside of your leg.
Only girls do that. And I don't know why I said that. But well, there was a look, and a lot of those guys were uh, very, very new and ironed white T-shirts. And
Ironed? You ironed your white T-shirt?
well, no, my mom.
And did the T-shirt have a V-neck or a round neck? I think they had V-necks. They were working shirts. Yeah, that's what men wore underneath their, yes,
I'm trying to
T-shirt.
remember.
Yeah.
V-neck or,
I think
well,
they were V-necks.
I had round necks.
Oh, you did? And with a little tiny pocket.
I had a pocket.
Mhm.
But then they would take their cigarettes and roll them up. in
Oh,
the
that's
sleeves.
right. Yeah.
They didn't smoke long cigarettes.
No, they short ones and
Short ones, no filter.
right.
And that's what it was to be a dude at the time.
And I think they were called camels, weren't they?
There
Or
were
viceroys.
I think viceroys were beg camels and Chesterfields.
Yeah.
And
Raleighs.
Raleigh.
Why do we know this? Oh,
Well, because some of us smoked. And there you got it. Rather short song in terms of lyrics. One of the things about me at the time when I started to work with Eric Jacobson was I was influenced when I first started in Boston by Bob Dylan. And of course, we all know he wrote long songs. I thought, boy, this is cool. You can really write a long song out, a big story, go on forever. People got to listen to it all because you're not really repeating yourself much.
yes.
And Eric Jacobson said to me, that's not good. Cut out the long songs. We want shorter songs. They're never going to play them on the radio because at that time, radio and singles and mostly AM radio, your song had to be about 2 minutes,
No more.
20 seconds, and really no more than that. One of the things that happened with Spirit of the Sky was it was 4 minutes long, and they didn't want to put it out as a single, and they were afraid that it just wouldn't get played. It was too long. But we'll talk about that. That whole story is very interesting, and we'll really get into that in a few episodes from now. But this is our song, Junior Cadillac.
Junior Cadillac.
With great horn playing, and a story about Brill Cream and a little dab will do ya.
Yes.
That
Pomade.
commercial was on quite a bit. Now, when we were discussing what we were going to do this morning, somehow we started to talk about people smoking weed. Do you remember how that came about?
No.
Well, I get asked a lot, did I smoke weed when I wrote songs? And back then, just about everybody in a band smoked weed. And it wasn't a big thing, because it wasn't very strong. It didn't really get us stoned and weird or anything, but writing songs was great.
Yes.
And so I got into writing short songs. But then you brought up the fact that weed at one time was a weed.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And you said it grew
On the sides of the roads in the Midwest, yes.
on the sides of the road. And I
That was in the
said,
30s and the 40s.
yeah, and I
Yes.
said,
It's basically, it was a weed. Yeah.
it was a weed. And I said, well, is that why we have happy cows?
Happy cows, that's right.
Because one of the commercials,
Oh, yes.
for
California cows are happy
California
cows.
cows are happy cows. Yeah, it's a milk commercial.
And marijuana used to be a weed.
Well, that kind of cracked us all up.
I know, it
Well,
was
we have
cute.
happy cows
It had
here,
been there.
and we're so great, so happy. We're happy too. We're not cows, but we're happy. I like cows.
Yes. So did you want to talk about your strings?
I want to talk about the Professor of Rock.
Oh, that's
So
right.
out in the world of podcasts, there's one on YouTube, and a gentleman named the Professor of Rock, and we met him by chance. We had gone to well, I knew of him. I friends of mine knew about him before me, and said, you got to go check this guy out. And I said, who's that? He said, it's the Professor of Rock, and he just did a show about you, meeting me. But he did it without me in it. Anyway, I went and checked it out, and he did this great show, and I discover that that's what he does on this great podcast that he has. He interviews or does segments on songs and familiar bands and bands that he absolutely likes. And turns out he's been a big fan of Spirit in the Sky for years and years. And I listened to it. I watched it, and I thought it was just great. And that was that. And I had listened to some of his other podcasts about other groups, and they were all terrific. Well, we went to see Kenny Loggins locally here, and he was setting up on stage and getting ready to do a set. And out comes this man, sits down next to him, and I look at Bonita and I said, I know this guy.
Yeah, that was the Professor of Rock. He did he did some research on you, and he presented it, played your song, and talked about the history of you and how it all came about.
Right, but he was doing Kenny Loggins.
He was doing Kenny Loggins.
That's what he did with Kenny Loggins, went over the songs.
All of his songs, talked a little bit about it, how it came about. Yeah.
Well, I was just amazed that out of nowhere, here is the Professor of Rock.
Mm-hmm.
And so when it was over, I ran up to the stage and hey, trying to get his attention.
Yeah. He'll talk about that in the video too. So where is the YouTube video?
Right. Well, last week he called and said, I want to do a Zoom video with you on a podcast in particular, just on you, and I want you to be in it.
Yes.
And he said, we'll be calling on Wednesday. And so we went ahead and did it. And so if you'd like to see that, it's on YouTube, and just type in Professor of Rock, Norman Greenbaum, and there'll be two there. And click on the one that says nobody has been able to replicate it. And that's referring to my Fuzzbox Lick intro and Spirit in the Sky.
Yes.
And we did a nice little show with him.
Yes.
So I think you'll like that. I wanted to talk about that and remind everybody that the album We wish we would have this available again. It did come out a few years ago on a record store day, and there was about 1,500 made, and they sold out rather quick. But we have CDs on the website, spiritinthesky.com, and you can pick up, if you want to, the original album with a couple more songs on it, because we now have the Petaluma album, which we'll be featuring soon. And of course, from Black Diamond Strings, Norman Greenbaum strings available. And you'll be able to email me from spiritinthesky.com. You'll find a page that says Contact Norman, and I will get the email, and Benita will get the email, and we'll go through them and try to answer a few and talk about a few
Mm-hmm.
The week after. Please don't send, please don't send spam and crap. I did this before on another platform, and people thought, oh, I'll just mess him up with crap. And I'm using crap as a four-letter word here, trying to be nice. But basically, I completely stopped doing it because
Yeah.
it became a burden. So
Okay, so
thank
we're going to wrap
you.
this up.
Yeah, I thank you for coming back. If I were you, I would have stayed on the ship with the zombies.
Yes, lovely group.
And
I think our next one, we're going to be doing Jubilee.
oh yeah, Jubilee is a longer song, so we'll have a longer podcast.
Yes. And how that all came about.
Well, it came about, and then I think that we're gonna switch over to the day the well went dry, because we have so much fun talking about that song about the well going dry on the ranch,
Yes.
and how every time we would go somewhere with our friends to go to a show together, we'd all sing it together on the way there or the way back. And we got a real funny story about fish sticks and radishes that we'll throw in. So the day we do that, you'll get a good laugh out of it. I want to thank you all for tuning in. Tell your friends about the show. And we'll see you next time.
Okay. Bye-bye, everyone.